Welcome to another episode of. Actually, another episode of what? I don't know. I don't know what to call it. But today we're going to be talking about the tier list. Had a lot of calls to talk about the tier list. Maybe put out a season 19 tier list. That's not what is happening, but we're going to start the process of discussing it. Okay? So, first thing we got to do is look at our existing tier list and talk about things that we probably want to change. I think I have all the things we had already discussed, like, if we voted to ban it and it passed, I want to revisit it, just make sure everyone feels the same way about it or what. So, looking at Platinum, I believe all four of these Pokemon that I have highlighted here, Espathra, Garganacl, Gholdengo, Roaring Moon, I believe we voted on all. I think it's worthy, like, they're worthy of voting again to discuss them. Like, we didn't really get to see much, if any, of Espathra. We saw plenty of Garganacl, Gholdengo, and Roaring Moon. So I'm curious to see if people's thoughts on them changed. I don't think we voted on anything with Great Tusk, Gren. We allowed Protean on Gren. I think we allowed Libero on Cinderace this time. So yeah, I think we're good there. I was just trying to remember the rules. It's a lot of seasons. Personally, I don't see anything else in Platinum that I'm like, oh, that's overvalued. I'm not super high on Iron Treads, but it does have pretty good utility. So I do like where it is in Platinum. People wanted to discuss it. Here, I'll tell you what, I'll throw a bold on there. Everything else, I feel pretty good about where it is. But I'd like to know what other people think we need to talk about. In Gold, Annihilate is also something we voted on. I know what we decided with Rage Fist. I don't know if it's worth revisiting, but I do, I highlighted it for kind of completionist sake. I don't really feel like there was anything else that I really wanted to revisit. There's a couple things I'm pretty high on, but I also just don't think there's enough evidence. Maybe there's a discussion for Dugtrio moving down, and I know that sounds crazy, but with our existing Terra rules, Dugtrio can't trap shit. It's so easy to not be trapped by Dugtrio. And, I mean, for that matter, kind of same thing with Gothitelle. If we keep the existing Terra rules, I really think we should consider moving these Pokemon down to Silver. They're so easy to beat if you're worried about being trapped. I just, how I feel about that. Iron Moth is something that pretty early in the season people talked about wanting to move it up. Curious if other people feel the same way about that, because I do think it's quite good, maybe something we overlooked. And I, get everyone's thoughts on these things. This is a place for discussion. Okay, if you think, nah, this is very easily handleable, go ahead and vote on it. We'll those, just want it talked about. I'm gonna put this on YouTube. Obviously, comment it on YouTube if you want. If not, just throw a discussion in the on the Discord. Love to hear people's thoughts. Meowscarada. Really impressed with Meowscarada. I feel like it's very similar stat-wise and move pool-wise to Cinderace and Greninja, which are up here and the same ability. So that is one of the few things in this meta that gets stab knockoff. So that can probably bump it up to Platinum. I don't think there's anything else in this tier that I really feel needs to go anywhere. Maybe Rotom-Mow could drop down. I don't think it's as good typing-wise as the other two Pokemon. Those are the only things that really stand out to me. Yeah, at least in Gold tier. Moving on to Silver. I've had a lot of discussion about Bellibolt. I personally was pretty impressed with how it functioned last season, but maybe people just don't want to pay that much for a defensive electric type, which defensive electric type, not much of a thing. Iron Jugulis, somebody brought this up. This is pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty strong. It's like, on paper, it's impressive, but in practice, I always felt like it fell a little short. I didn't get to see a ton of it last season, so hard to tell. Jolteon and Kilowattrel I'm going to pair together, because Jolteon has been the discussion of much maligning the past few seasons, like why is it still silver? It doesn't have any coverage. Now it does in Terra, and it's also still very strong, got access to Calm Mind, so depending on the Terra rules, maybe this could still be silver, but also I could see an argument for bronze. Kilowattrel, I don't think it's that different from Jolteon. Similar stat spread, same ability. Kilowattrel functions better in Rain. So I do feel like it has maybe a little bit more of a niche than Jolteon, plus it has U-Turn and Roost. But I could see an argument made for bronze too, and also I think most of us can agree that putting a couple more good Pokemon in bronze isn't that big of a deal, because there's a lot of stuff in bronze that is just bad. Speaking of stuff that's in silver is bad, is Maushold. This was it was controversial to put it in silver. I feel like, I don't know how it ended up in silver, but I feel like we have enough knowledge on Maushold now to know that it doesn't need to be there. Sandy Shocks, opposite problem. I think out of all the things in silver, I could see an argument made for this move up. I really loved it. Good speed tier, very strong, good coverage. But at the same time, it's got a really limited move pool. Like, its stab coverage is good, but if you want to look outside that, you have to Terra it, or your only other coverage move is Power Gem, excuse me. You know, it gets hazards, but as far as I think of the electric things I've highlighted in this tier, this is probably the best. Speaking of electric things, maybe we want to talk about is Electros. But Sandy Shocks, I could see an argument for going to gold, but I feel like the identity of stuff of electric types that are in gold versus in silver versus bronze is a little bit muddy, so maybe something to look at. Scovillain. I was surprised we didn't see more success from sun-oriented teams. With Photosynthesis being around, you have your de facto Sun Sweeper. Your best possible Sunsetter is available in Oracle. Where are you? There he is. I'm surprised we didn't see a little bit more Scovillain. Maybe it speaks that this Pokemon is just kind of not great. So maybe could be moved down to bronze, because I feel like it's typically where we've had Chlorophyll Sweepers, but we've never had a fire type Chlorophyll Sweeper. So kind of an interesting conundrum. Gigaton, also really impressive. Good speed, solid bulk. Gigaton Hammer isn't like the world beater that everyone kind of hoped it would be based on this Pokemon's design and base power of that move. But I still think it's pretty strong. Still got great utility. Arguably the best typing in the entire game. I think that could move up to gold, and I don't think too many people would cry boo about it. Veluza, it just feels like a setup sweeper like Barbaracle used to have in bronze tier, so it makes sense for it to be there. We also have a similar typing Pokemon that I think is just it's faster and similarly strong in Bruxish down in this tier, so I don't think it's not at home at tier. Vaporeon's kind of a weird one because I've been a big Vaporeon fan for a long time, and I just also had it on a championship team. But the problem is, its only coverage now is water and ice. Again, unless you Terra. It doesn't have Heal Bell like it used to. I could say the same thing for Umbreon, but Umbreon never had coverage, and it's still always very good at its job. So we'll focus on Vaporeon here. I could see an argument for this moving down. I just feel like it's something worthy to bring up, because it's walled pretty. It doesn't do as good of a job at being a cleric as it used to, and because of the no Heal Bell, and it can't really be offensive effectively. So I thought it was worth bringing up. Bronze tier, I'm worried about touching bronze tier, because now first of all, I don't think, just scanning over this, there's anything that I'm like, ooh, that should move up, which I'm happy about, because bronze tier kind of sucks. Not a lot of good things in it. So maybe some things will move down into it. I also don't want to just take all the good things that are in iron and put it in bronze. That doesn't fix the problem either. We do obviously have new Pokemon back, so hopefully they can fill out the ranks a little bit, but I'm not going to hold my breath for them. There's nothing in here that I really want to. Iron tier, kind of similar. I don't really think there's anything in this tier. I think an argument could be made for some, if not all, of the Oricorios. Quiver Dance is always very good, and the fact that Terra changes their typing of Revelation Dance, really interesting. Plus, these can shut down other, not shut down, but kind of deal with other Quiver Dance users because of their dancer ability. I think that's pretty interesting. Nothing else is jumping out at me. Let me know if you feel like I've missed something in this group. But, I've been talking for 10 minutes. I'll keep this one short, and then I'm going to put out another one starting to discuss the new Pokemon. So stay tuned for part 2. Be coming up relatively soon.